Hello, everyone. And I had alluded to this on a couple of LinkedIn and Facebook postings recently. Want to talk about understanding the real bankruptcy trends, especially when you see headlines, or as I call it, the bankruptcy sky is falling. The bankruptcy sky is falling. Because I saw a couple of headlines. One specific headline yesterday that made me go, hmm, and wanted to talk a little bit about what that means for bankruptcy attorneys and how to look at these headlines if you're considering adding bankruptcy as a practice area, because sometimes it can be a little daunting when you try to figure out what's going on with various trends and supply and demand. So that's where I came up with this idea for this. So what happened yesterday? What a year a difference makes, and then not so fast. Yesterday, I got an email alert like I do every morning with this bankruptcy headlines in it. And the headline said, February commercial chapter 11's decreased 42%. And I was like, that's interesting because bankruptcy filings have pretty been steady going up over the last year, and last year's was up over the year before. So it's been a pretty steady ramp up. Like, I wonder what happened in February of 2024 that made the decrease in 2025 so drastic compared to everything else that we're seeing right now. So my first thought wasn't, oh my gosh, sky is falling. It was, hmm, who's playing with the numbers and what are they putting in headlines to make people click on it? So I went back and looked at February of 2024 and I found this headline, which is the same service that puts it out. And it says February 2024 commercial chapter 11's surged 118%. I'm like, well, isn't that, you know, interesting that you find out that they were up 118% last year and now it's 42% down. I'm like, what happened? There had to have been something that was an anomaly during February of 2024 to make it go up 118%. Because, of course, if there was an anomaly that happened last year, then this year's number over last year's number isn't really indicative of anything other than there wasn't that same anomaly this year. And so understanding those numbers and being able to read um, what goes into those statistics is really important for a bankruptcy attorney, especially someone who wants to have their own firm. So what happened here? The In 2024 in February, it says you can see in the headline here is 822 filings versus 377 filings in February 2023. There were two large cases that had related cases. So here's the context that was missing from the headline. The context was in February of 2024, one of the large cases was Thrasio Holdings, which is an Amazon reseller, and their main holding company filed for Chapter 11. But then at the same time, they had 229 related cases that got filed at the exact same time. And so the way that works in bankruptcy is all the related cases are usually grouped up together under the main case. And most of the proceedings take place, but each case is a different case number and will show up on the docket as a separate case. So 229 or 230 out of those 877 cases was just one Chapter 11. A lot of work for that Chapter 11 firm to do all those related cases, but it was just one Chapter 11. It wasn't 230 companies, separate individual companies going into Chapter 11. So that context was missing. So of course it jumped up 118%. And of course, when there wasn't a gigantic related case filing in February 2025, the number would drop down. One of the articles did mention the leap year effect because they were trying to explain this discrepancy. Once you clicked on the article, sometimes you actually get information that helps. They tried to say that there was one less business day in February 2025 because 2024 was a leap year. And I was like, but really, one day, do you think one day really made a difference from 118% surge to a 42% decrease? Probably not if you take an average filing, although I will say the last day of the month tends to be high volume filing days for consumer side. Not sure on the Chapter 11 side if Chapter 11 attorneys think to file things in the last day of the month. Well, maybe they do. A lot of times it's related to payroll and other reorganizational factors for Chapter 11s. The interesting thing on all of this is that the overall bankruptcy filings in February of 2025 increased by 3% over 2024, which means Chapter 7s, 12, 13s, all the ones that aren't the commercial Chapter 11s, made up a significant um, part of an increase happening because it offset that commercial Chapter 11 decrease of 42%. Keeping in mind that the number of cases filed for commercial Chapter 11s is in the hundreds, whereas the number of cases filed for Chapter 7s and 13s is usually in the thousands, the higher volume practice. But understanding the context, because if you didn't understand that, you would think, oh, Chapter 11, a horrible place to get into right now. Obviously, the filings are decreasing. Not true. The bankruptcy filings are rising. They've been month over month increasing. 2024 was over 2023. 2025 continues to be over 2024 in most areas, with anomalies accounted for. But you need to understand the data to help you make informed business decisions and know when to add staff and when to expand out on different practice areas and different things. If you're thinking about adding bankruptcy as a practice area, surprise, I have a way you can do that in 10 hours. I encourage you to join my rebellion and add bankruptcy as a practice area. It's live or self-paced. So the self-paced version is it's online modules with all kinds of video content, as well as checklists, fee agreements, things like that are all included as resources. And March 21st and 22nd, we are doing a live version of this because some people do like the accountability of being on a live recording or live webinar that's being recorded. Just that's how some people work better that way. And then you can also ask questions. We do a lot of Q&A during the live versions of it. So March 21st, it'll be from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Pacific. And on the 22nd from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Pacific, I believe. And 10 hours. We cover as much as we can. And just to give you an idea of what's in there and why I'm talking about headlines is because the very first module that we get into on the building a bankruptcy practice course is, oops, I'm sharing the wrong one. There we go. The very first module is before you get started, what's your cash flow? What cash flow forecasting look like? What's demand look like? And what should you be looking at throughout the year as far as highs and lows? And when economies go high and low, what your practice will do from a bankruptcy standpoint. So that is module one, talking about those things. Before you even open a practice, let's talk about that because you want to make money doing this. And then I go through other things that you have to know. Practice management software, bankruptcy software. I do demos of or review all of them. And then we talk about the bankruptcy client process, the consultation process. Bankruptcy Chapter 7, Chapter 13 is a good 3.5 to 4 hours of content in there so that you have the basics, fee agreements, marketing, cases you should know, all kinds of fun things like that. So looking at adding bankruptcy as a practice area, come join us on March 21st or 22nd, or do the online recorded version if you prefer self-paced. Those who buy the self-paced also get access to all future live versions. So for free. And if you buy the live version, you get access to the recorded version once you complete the live one. So try to keep it easy for you all to keep learning about bankruptcy. If you have questions, let me know. Read your headlines, read all of the things that are going on out there, but understand that you have to look at the underlying data and not just what that flashy headline says, because the bankruptcy sky is not falling. Talk to you all soon. Thanks.